Today we're going to be talking about setting, and setting is like another character in the book. You have to develop it so that the reader can really picture in their mind the setting for your story. And setting can do so many things. It can inspire action in your story. Like, for instance, if you're at a railway station, or your characters or the setting is a railway station, there are so many scenarios for that. Your character could be waiting for someone at the railway station, they could be leaving on a train, they could be going to meet someone, they could be going to find something out. So, just from that one little setting of a railway station, there are so many options for your story. When I was writing letters to Leonardo, I used a lot of settings that I was really familiar with. And that's a really good thing to do because when you use a setting you're really familiar with, you can write about it with real authenticity. You know what places look like. You know what the sounds of the railway station are if that's where you're going to set it. You know what the smells of the place are. And also, if it's a local setting, you can actually go and sit in that setting and write there. And it really helps you to immerse yourself. And that's actually why I thought I'd wear my beret today, just to take me back to Paris and remind me of all the setting details from my time there, which I used in Beyond Belief. The other thing to consider with setting is, how does your character feel about the setting that they're in? So if they are at the railway station, are they happy to be there? Are they anxious? Can they not wait to leave and hop on that train? These are the things to think about, and they also are affected by the kind of story that you're writing. If you're writing a funny story, like with the Eddy Popcorn books, then your setting will be perhaps more humorous, and your character will have a more light-hearted approach to the setting. With a book like Beyond Belief, where Reuben was hiding out on a number of occasions in fear of his life, the description is a lot more intense because we want the reader to feel that kind of fear. And that's where your character becomes active in the setting. Settings don't have to be exotic like Paris or Rome or anywhere overseas. They can be everyday settings. Like, for instance, in Eddy Popcorn's Guide to Parent Training, I used his bedroom and the supermarket. And those kind of settings are very relatable to readers because they can picture them already in their mind. And for Eddy Popcorn's Guide to Teacher Taming, of course, I use the school and the classroom, which readers are also very familiar with. And when you're thinking about your settings, ask yourself, what's your character doing in this setting? If there's a tower in your setting, is your character the kind of person that would climb it? Or would they be too timid? Would they wait at the bottom for a friend, or would they follow them up there? With things like a house, what sort of house would your character live in? And does it have secret rooms? Does it have secret doors? What sort of garden does it have? What sort of garage? What sort of shed? In Letters to Leonardo, the shed was really important, and I modelled that on my father-in-law's shed. He has this massive farm shed. And I could really picture it in my mind when Matt Hudson in Letters to Leonardo goes and sleeps the night there because his mother doesn't let him into the house, and he stays with the stray cats in the shed. So I knew what that sounded like, I knew what that smelt like, I knew what that shed looked like. And I also used my mother-in-law and father-in-law's house in the actual book as well as the setting for the mother's house. It takes both hands to open the heavy sliding door. The shed is full of half-finished paintings, but each one is amazing. It makes me think of something I read that Leonardo said. I have offended God and mankind because my work didn't reach the quality it should have. Perhaps that's part of being a great talent. You never think that what you do is good enough or complete. A white cat peeps from behind an easel. I crouch down and call softly, "Here, puss." She creeps out cautiously, followed by two tiny kittens that mew as they run after her. When they get close to me, they start spitting. It's all right, don't be scared. I pat the mother cat and she rubs against me, purring. My legs cramp up. So I stand. When I look down again, the cats are gone. So you can see from that description of the setting, you can see the kind of character that Matt is. He's kind to the cats, but also the mother cat looking after her kittens is very symbolic because it's the opposite of what Matt's mother has done for him. So setting can be used to reveal these kind of themes. In Eddy Popcorn's Guide to Teacher Taming, Eddy has taken his rabbit Chewy to school. And Chewy is actually causing havoc because it's take a pet to school day, and Chewy is very, very friendly, and he chases other pets in the classroom, which leads to chaos. So instead of describing all the things that are in the classroom, I describe what happens when Chewy chases one of the cats through the classroom and sends paint flying. Chewy just wants to play, but Honey seems to think he's an attack rabbit. She leaps on top of a bookcase and Chewy hops after her. She leaps on top of the high cupboard where all the expensive art supplies are kept. Anita isn't tall enough, so Miss McTaggart reaches up to grab Honey. I try to stop Chewy from leaping after her, but I'm not quick enough. When Chewy jumps on top of the cupboard, Honey panics and knocks off a bottle of black paint. Someone mustn't have put the lid on properly because black paint pours all over Miss McTaggart, and Honey is now racing around the classroom like a mad thing. "Shut the door," yells Macca, and just in time, Damo slams the classroom door closed so that Honey can't escape. Miss McTaggart stumbles towards her desk, black paint dripping down her face like melted licorice. Bet it doesn't taste that good though. And here's a scene from Letters to Leonardo where I've tried to use the setting to create emotion and show how Matt is upset with his mother for not answering the door when she actually invited him to come and visit her. I creep all around the outside of the house, peering in the windows. Each one is framed with cobwebs and a couple are cracked. It wouldn't be too hard to push the glass in, but I don't. All the curtains are drawn, and it's impossible to see which room the light is actually coming from. I wonder if she knows I'm still here. I feel like a stalker. If anyone saw me, they would probably call the cops. But I'm not doing anything wrong. She invited me. I smell food, something hot. Smells like soup. It triggers a memory of a small boy sitting on a stool watching his mother chop vegetables and toss them into a steaming pot. An involuntary tear slides down my cheek. Food is actually a really good way to show setting and character as well, because when your character recalls or describes something that they're eating, it can be very visual, but we can also get a sense of how it smells and how it tastes and how the character is responding to that. This is a scene from Beyond Belief. Reuben, Hannah and Momo are hiding out in an attic and they're all really hungry because they've only had bread crusts to eat. So they're trying to keep each other cheerful by talking about happy memories. And Reuben talks about food and food that they used to eat on special family occasions. "We sit at the table and Mama and Papa put their hands on my head and give me a blessing. Then they kiss me and Papa sings to Mama." "What are you eating?" asked Momo. "Bread." "Oh." Momo sounded disappointed. Reuben continued, "It is not like the bread we had today. This bread is freshly baked. It's warm, fluffy, chala. Can you smell it?" "Yes," they murmured. "It's sprinkled with salt and we rip it into chunks as big as we want. What else do you eat?" Momo crawled into Reuben's lap. The cat moved aside to make room for him and lay on Reuben's arm. "Delicious meatballs with a mushroom sauce that smells like heaven." Reuben rubbed his tummy. Momo cupped his hands around Reuben's face. "I don't like mushrooms." "You may have chicken," Reuben laughed. "Crisp and full of flavour." "Stop," protested Hannah. "You make me hungry." So it's really important to pick a setting that not only you can describe well and the reader can imagine themselves in that setting, but it also has to be relevant to the type of character and the type of story that you're telling. So you might want a more emotional setting, you may want a funny setting, you might want something to do with food, If it's an action adventure, that will affect the setting as well. You may be telling a fishing story or a football story, and obviously they will have settings relevant to the subjects and the themes in your story.